There is currently a rapid resurgence of the trend where people talk about how they're not alt anymore and they're so happy. They're glad that they're out of their alt phase because their alt phase, they looked so ugly in it. Basically just along the lines of, I'm not alt anymore because I'm happy. I know that a large percentage of my audience identifies as alternative, and that's really an umbrella term for anywhere from goth, emo scene. There are just too many subcultures to name, so we're going to be just using the umbrella term alternative in this video. Yes, alternative can be a phase. It's something that alternative people, not as a whole, but a few don't want to believe the fact that there are people out there who just have a little bit of a phase in life. They listen to certain bands, they wear certain clothing, they dye their hair black, the whole 9 rounds. And usually what this is an act of rebellion against either parents or society as a whole. It's kind of like a pivotal point in some tweens, teenagers' lives where, you know, they feel like the world is against them. They feel like everything is just raining on top of them and nothing is going to get better. It's the teenage angst we're talking about, right? And so what some teenagers go through is that phase. The phase of life where everything is so dark and depressing and morbid and evil. As somebody who's been this way basically my entire life, with a few years in between of being what people would call a normie because I wanted to please everyone around me. I mean, when I was growing up and I looked like this, people didn't like me. They didn't want to be around me. They didn't want to know me. They thought I was a very strange person. But then when I looked like this, everyone wanted to get to know me. And there is nothing wrong with having a phase, but it kind of links to what we're about to talk about next, is uglifying people who are alternative. There is this precedent that has been set where if a person looks a specific way, they're going to act a specific way, have specific views on things. It's just really degrading in a way, because while people who had an alt phase then kind of grow out of it and become their own person, true to themselves, and they believe that they were ugly when they were alternative, goth, whatever, and now they appease the male gaze, they appease that beauty standard, you know, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But what I do find something wrong in the conversation is when it comes to making it out that alternative people are inherently ugly. First of all, we all know that that is just not the case whatsoever. The true meaning of being an alternative person is standing up against the societal norms, against social norms, and embracing what people find to be dark or find to be depressing. We express ourselves through art, media, music, fashion, all facets of life. And what really pisses me off is when people say that you're only ugly because you're alt, which, like we said, just isn't the case. This trend also stigmatizes alternative people to be sad, depressed sacks of shit. This is one that I really want to get deep into, okay? There have been some events that have happened in my life to have been extraordinarily traumatic. And when those traumatic situations were happening, I tended to be like who everyone else wanted me to be. I tended to really suppress who I truly was. And especially, you know, back then, this would have been like 6, 7, 8 years ago, it was still widely unaccepted to be somebody who is alternative. It was, you know, still seen as an ugly thing to be, a depressing thing to be. Like, you had to have had something wrong with you to be an alternative person. I remember, because I was there, having people tell me how gross I looked, ugly, it didn't suit me, that's not really who I am. I would look better if I looked like this girl. Now, I'm more so talking about music in this sense, right? One of my favorite genres of music is black metal. In black metal, there is something called DSBM, and that's depressive suicidal black metal. That is extremely depressing. Obviously, it's in the fucking name. A lot of metal music can be depressing, can be angry. Why? Because it is a source of emotion. Unfortunately, in life, it is not all rainbows, sunshine, unicorn, and sprinkles. There is a lot of shitty things that happen to people in life that can maybe lead them one way, can maybe lead them another. And not everyone who is alternative has had the most extreme trauma in the world. Not every alternative person has had to go through hell and back. But I see why people can have that opinion, because a lot of the time that's how alternative people kind of come together and get to a point of being alternative, because this is a community of self-expression, of emotional expression. And with social media, I kind of feel like it is being washed away a little bit, because maybe in the goth sense, you know, TikTok goth is kind of just wear the fashion, that's it. But that's not really what the meaning is, right? Well, it's the same for alternative people. Alternative people are not sad sacks of shit. If anything, when I finally was able to dress the way I wanted, feel comfortable in the music I listen to, because believe it or not, I was banned from listening to a lot of music and watching a lot of media that pertains to the alternativeness of a person. And, you know, I've never been more happier being Caitlin fucking Stewart. I don't like to label myself necessarily, because if I label myself goth, people will pull up the fact that I listen to Lil Peep. So how can I be goth if I listen to Lil Peep and these other genres of music? That's not real goth. Oh, well, I'm not an emo because I don't necessarily like PTV or BVB, but I'm also not this and I'm also not that. I'm just Caitlin. And so here is where it kind of takes a turn from stigmatizing alt people to be sad, depressed sacks of shit, to actual alternative people calling out other actual alternative people posers. Our favorite word. So when trends like this arise, and there are people who are normal now who talk about their alt phase and how they're so glad that they're out of it and whatnot. Then you have people who start calling out other alternative people to be posers, because now you don't know if Sally, who has been alternative her entire life, is actually alternative because of this one random girl on TikTok who's like, what, 16 and doesn't want to be ugly anymore. That's how toxic this shit has gotten, and it's really got to stop. First and foremost, I really do not like the alternative goth police where, you know, they police everything about a person. I remember this one hate video someone made about me on TikTok, and basically they were saying that how could I be goth because I wore a basic outfit? Or how could I be goth because I listen to Peep? Fair point. Not really a fair point, because you actually have to be fucking stupid if you think that the clothes you wear pertain to you being any less goth. When I take off all of this, she is out most of the time. It takes too much effort every day to look like this and leave the house. It is also just the unwanted attention you get out in public I'm really not a fan of. Listening to goth music makes you a goth. Okay, here are some of my favorite bands. But you are also allowed to listen to other genres. Like, there is no kind of like handbook saying you must only listen to this if you want to be just goth. I really, truly enjoy all genres of music, and I will never just stick to one genre of music just because some idiot on TikTok told me that I can't listen to other music because it makes me less goth. I'm sorry, but that would just be insanely boring. I take inspiration from multiple different people in life. Some of them are not even alternative in any sort of way. So I think what I'm trying to say, you know, in a big, long 10-minute video, leave alternative people alone. Be who you want to fucking be. That's okay. Just don't be shaming or making really hateful comments to the community that you used to be a part of, because just because you're not alt anymore doesn't mean alt people are disgusting or ugly or depressing sacks of shit. Just because at some point the alternative label benefited you and now it doesn't mean you can go hate on the alternative people, my guy. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to get off my chest in this video. I know that there is a lot of but that is drama queen, I'm sorry. We're dramatic ass bitches on this channel. So yeah, with that being said, everyone, I will see you all soon. I really enjoyed your company today. And if you have anything or any stories in particular that you would like to add in the comment section down below, I would love to hear them. Take care of yourselves, and most of all, love your fucking selves.